Hello, everyone out there. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I am your melanated queen, and yes, I am in the park, so I'm enjoying the greenery. Heute ist Sonntag. Es ist 80 degrees out here. Das Wetter ist sehr nett. The breeze is blowing, so guten Tag out there. So basically I just said, good day to everyone out there. The weather is very nice. It is 80 degrees today, and the weather is blowing. The wind is blowing. My apologies. So I just want to say, let's start this out today by giving thanks that we all woke up. We all have the extremities of our faculties. Our bodies are intact. We have the movement and activities of all of our limbs. We're able to breathe without a respirator, without a ventilator. The activity of our lungs are sustained and maintained through healthy, positive activity, and the Creator has been very gracious to us, despite all of the things that's going on out here in the land. Of course, you know that melanated people are the indigenous people to this land, and unfortunately, we're going to get into some topics that discusses the fact that all of our rights are being infringed upon. It does not matter, who you are, but what's going on right now is atrocious, and it's an atrocity to the people and to our entire nation and to the entire world. You may see some people walking behind me, but again, that's because I am at the park, so I'm just trying to take in all this beautiful weather. They said that parks were closed, but as you can tell, people are out here fluently walking around. Some people are back in the back of me playing, what is that, croquet? Similar to tennis, you all. I'm not too well versed in sports. But anyway, I have my notes here. So we're going to get into the topic of a few things that I wanted to go over and I wanted to discuss. I've actually invested into some software, and I'm putting together a presentation for you all. So look out for that. That's coming next, and we will be discussing some things in more detail. So I just wanted to talk about, the experiences that we've all had here as it pertains to this C-VID situation. As you may be aware, we're being asked to wear face masks, we're being asked to wear gloves, we're being asked to social distance. I think we're all over it at this point in time. Like, if I turn the camera around, you'll see that everybody's out here just enjoying the weather, enjoying their lives, enjoying nature, and they're resuming with normal activities as it pertains to their lives. So let's get into it. Went into a grocery store I think it was last week to pick up some pesto sauce for the recipe that we were making at the house. And so the grocery store is right up the street. It's called Aldi's. If those of you who are not familiar, Aldi's is a German-based or like a German-themed grocery store, similar to Lidl's. So anyway, when I get there, all I had to do was go in and grab the pesto sauce and leave right out. So the guy in the front of the store, before you even enter, he has like the automatic doors blocked off, and the shopping cart was right there. So it's like you couldn't get through. So he tries to hand me a shopping cart, and I said, well, I don't need one. So that he tells me, oh, well, you have to take one. It's required. I told him, I said, even if I don't want one, yeah, it's required. I looked at him, I shook my head. I was like, no. I pushed past the shopping cart that was blocking the automatic door and went straight in there, grabbed my 2 jars of pesto sauce, and was out in less than 5 minutes. I just think the extremes and the measures that are being taken are just going far beyond the parameters of what anybody needs to go through. As you all know, a lot of people go to Lowe's. Lowe's is another store that's allowed to be open. Everyone in there, basically almost everyone, has on a face mask at Lowe's. And then at the post office, I went there the other day to mail off a package, and in there almost everyone was wearing a face mask, and then they had stickers on the floor a couple of feet apart, and they're asking everybody to stand on the tape, on the stickers, to social distance. And I didn't realize it at the time because I had received a phone call while I was at the post office. And then the lady in front of me wearing her face mask turns around. I guess the guy behind the counter said something, and she was like, "Oh, I'm on my sticker." So I wasn't even paying attention. I'm like, "Oh, I'm too close behind her. Let me back up and stand on this stupid sticker," because we all know that the virus is going to magically appear and jump from one person to the next. I mean, it's just crazy. So anyway, you all, let's get into my notes here. All right, and I apologize if you can hear what's going on in the background. Actually, I'm trying to find out what happened to my notes. I wanted to talk about, okay, so since I can't find my notes right now, let's go off of what I was going to discuss. And that is going to be, so ironically, people are magically succumbing to this COVID virus, right? And we're trying to figure out what's really going on here, because I think by now everybody is very much aware that we're being lied to. My apologies for looking down. And what are the reasons for that? Of course, to inflict panic and fear in the people. Of course, for power and control. We are very much aware of it. All right. So the doctors have been coming on YouTube, I guess, because of the magnanimous lies. Oh, you see that? Something flying around me, you all. Because of all of these atrocious lies that are going on, the doctors have taken it upon themselves to come out and speak about what's going on. I actually saw one doctor come on YouTube. He was posting from his own personal cell phone, and he was in one of the rooms at the hospital. Apparently he had some time on his hands. Apparently it was not too busy for him, because he took a matter of minutes to post this video. And what he said, I think this doctor had been practicing for at least 20 years, if I can recall. And I really wanted to play that video for you all, but they've taken his video down. So this lets you know the measures and extremes that they're taking to censor and to track what's being said to the public, and not to get the words out to the people, the truth, that is. And if you really look into history and even what's going on right now, you know that China has been censoring their citizens for decades. I don't know, at least decades. I've seen footage where they're not even allowed to listen to music. Even in school, when they go to class, they have to praise the president. Like, remember when we were in school, I don't know if they still do this, but we were saying the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag. That's one thing you had to do. So it's the same kind of practice over there. They're inflicting, or they're implementing patriotism into you. And we all know that flag is based on a bunch of lies too. So I don't really succumb, or I don't submit to that flag. Melanated people, you know exactly where I'm coming from. And if not, then we can talk about that at a later time. But let's get into the doctor. And I do apologize. I don't have any of his information. I had it somewhere in my history, but when I went to pull that video back up, it was gone. They deleted it. They said that it violated their policies. But what he was basically saying is that he had a room, and when I say a room full of ventilators, he had so many ventilators that were not being used. They were just sitting there. They still had the plastic over them, brand new, and I think they were being made through the GMC company or through Ford. One of the car companies were making the ventilators. And so his contingency was, who's going to train them on these new ventilators? And also, why is the car dealership company making the ventilators? So those were some of his concerns. Also, they have been mandated, and the orders are coming to the doctors asking them to place patients straight onto ventilators. So, and that's what I wanted to get into about why people are succumbing to the COVID virus. It's not really from the virus, you all. It's the measures that are being taken when people are implementing the breathing procedures to help these people. So I mean, some people do get in trouble. They may have a cough, which could seem like shortness of breath. I've had bronchitis a number of times as a child, so I know what it feels like to be coughing uncontrollably. And if you look up my zodiac sign, it says that we're prone to these type of bronchial issues. So it makes you very scared to even go to a doctor if you're going to be submitted to these what I consider to be malpractice measures. The doctors are being told that there's something called the ABCs of breathing, and I watched this with Dr. Rashid Buttar. If you're not familiar with him, check him out. He's very knowledgeable. But basically, the ABCs of breathing is basically make sure nothing is obstructing the airway. So that's number one, and we all know this if you've ever taken a CPR class, because I've taken one of those as well, and people that work with children. So make sure the airway is not obstructed. Number two, the B, make sure the person is breathing, right? And then C, circulation. You want to make sure that airway is the air is circulating within the airway, and of course the blood. You want to make sure that's flowing as well. So anyway, what's going on is there are different breathing apparatuses that are used for people that have breathing problems. These doctors have been mandated to skip over the first procedures, the first and second step, and to place them on a ventilator. Now, people that usually need a ventilator are people that are having extreme trouble or unable to breathe on their own at all. That is for people that are in like an ICU state. People that are in extreme trouble when it comes to their health condition. So what is happening with these breathing apparatuses as far as the ventilator is it's causing more harm than good for a lot of the patients, and they're succumbing to their deaths. So just to make a long story short, that's what's going on out here, you all. So you want to know why they're saying people died from COVID? Imagine having trouble breathing. It's not that you cannot breathe at all. It's that you're just having trouble breathing, and I don't know what's causing that. And really, I don't really think it's coming from COVID at this point. I think that some of these could be other health conditions. Well, as we all are aware, they are telling the doctors that are working on the patients or that come into contact with these patients, regardless of what the medical issue is, if it has any resemblance or remnants of something similar to COVID, go ahead and put it down as COVID. And sometimes that's not even the reason that these people are dying, you all. There are a lot of people die every day. People get into car accidents. Unfortunately, people have heart conditions. People have all types of things that go on every single day. And these doctors are being made to put it down as COVID. Also, another thing that I wanted to point out is that they're saying that a lot of people could be testing with a false positive with these tests. So don't be alarmed, you all, if you take a test and it comes back positive. They're saying also that, and this is coming from the doctors, that people who may have had flu shots or flu vaccinations in the past or other vaccinations, that could also test as a false positive. And then they're telling you have COVID and that you could be not showing signs, and then you basically could spread the virus. So just be very well informed on what's going on out here. There are no shortage of ventilators at this particular hospital where the doctor was located, and I mean, he actually showed this on his camera phone. He did a video of it, but unfortunately they have taken his video down. And of course, like I said, the ventilators are causing damage to the lungs and the airway. So this is what's causing some of these issues for the alleged C-VID patients. Okay. So I just feel that is medical malpractice, you all, especially when they have been ordered to skip the fundamental basics of the ABCs of breathing. We all know that your breathing is the most important thing to survival. If you cannot get air into your body, basically in a matter of minutes, a lot of people don't make it. So why would you further exacerbate the situation by not following proper procedure? Why would you put someone in a more dire situation by obstructing their airway when they don't even need that type of capacity to breathe? So when you start playing around with the lungs and the airway and the trachea, you can mess a lot of things up. And it's not that they don't know what they're doing. They are doing this, and it sounds like it's being done deliberately, you all. That's very scary. So be very careful when you go to these emergency rooms. Doctors have also been online and on YouTube letting the public know that they have a shortage in staff. A lot of the nurses are being asked if they want to get sent home. If you look out there, there's a nurse from Raleigh. She made a public announcement that if it's been so slow for them that her, I guess the place where she works, they asked her if she wants another day off, and she said it's slow in the emergency room where she works. There's not a lot going on. And I do have some links to some YouTube videos that I'd like to play for you all, and this is very important, so I'm just gonna go ahead and see if this will come up. Hope that get good enough reception so you can hear it. But basically, it's just discussing that one of the doctors had their videos removed, and they're trying to figure out why. Especially once it reaches up to 1.7 million views, they feel that, like, it is influencing the public and causing harm. And I think that was one of the points they tried to make. But you know, doesn't it cause harm to the public when you're not practicing the mandated ABCs of breathing, but then you go straight into a ventilator and you cause people to have breathing issues and also to succumb to their death because of the measures you've taken and delegated to these doctors? Why would people not want to know the actual truth of what's going on out here? So I'm going to play this for you. Hopefully it'll play. And if not, then here it is. Here it is.
ABC's video of that press conference had garnered more than 5 million views on YouTube, but last night YouTube removed that.
My apologies, you all. Let's just try to start it again.
That video stating it violated YouTube community guidelines. 23 ABC's Bayan Wang has been following this development and joins us live from Northwest Bakersfield now. Bayan?
Yeah, Jessica, when the doctor's news conference was removed from our YouTube page, man, all of our phones were ringing off of the hook, the public calling in, blowing up our phones, our emails, accusing us of violating freedom of speech laws. But we know that that is the furthest from the case that there is. YouTube confirmed with us that they removed our video from YouTube because they believe our video violated community guidelines. Now this incident catching national attention.
I say, do we need to still shelter in place? Our answer is emphatically no. Do we need businesses to be shut down? Emphatically no.
This is a portion of the 51-minute video in which Drs. Dan Erickson and Artin Masihi held a news conference last week making controversial statements about lifting shelter-in-place orders. The video received over 5 million views on YouTube, but that video was abruptly taken down by YouTube for content they say violated YouTube policy. YouTube sent us this statement saying, in part, the content explicitly disputes the efficacy of local health authorities' recommendations on social distancing that may lead others to act against that guidance. Joseph Rusamano, a mass communication law professor at Arizona State University, says the doctor's controversial comments played a role.
It would seem to me that what YouTube's concern is the potential harm that this video may contain. If you look at it as I'm sure you have, the content of it is contrary to what most members of the medical community are saying about COVID-19.
But with over 1 billion users and as a haven for expressions, is YouTube considered a public forum that should uphold freedom of speech?
There are those who would argue that while it's not the same as the old-time town square sort of setting, that in a digital age, in a social media age, that it in fact has taken the place of that and in fact should be construed as a public forum.
But according to a 2017 federal court case involving conservative nonprofit organization PragerU versus YouTube, YouTube contended that the First Amendment should not dictate how they moderate content on their platform. The court ruled in favor of YouTube, who removed PragerU videos that were made with a conservative perspective. And 23 ABC, we reached out to YouTube. We submitted an appeal wondering why our video was removed. Their decision to put our video back up is still pending. We also got a chance to speak to Dan Erickson, who told me that he knows he was pushing against the grain. He knows that these kind of things aren't unprecedented. He thinks that this is exactly what he was expecting. Now, if you want to watch that full press conference, you can head to our website, turnitin23.com. We posted the full press conference there. You could also head to our Facebook page and watch it on any of our streaming services, including Apple TV, Roku, and Android. But for now, we're live in Northwest Bakersfield. Bayan Wang, 23 ABC, connecting you.
All right, so there you have it. Straight out of the news channel's mouth. They have been stricken as well, not to put up videos where doctors are submitting the truth to the public. And I find this extremely troubling that they would go through these extreme measures to stop the truth from coming out to people. So if they're willing to go to that length, imagine everything else that's going on with this whole entire situation. Imagine what else they have in store for people. And there are some other videos on here that I wanted to point out. So I'm going to click on another one and see if this pulls up. And hopefully it does. And I think this is important information to share. I do apologize that you can't really see it too well, but I'd rather for you to be able to listen to it some type of way before these videos are removed and taken down. So even if we have to do it this way, it's better than not getting the information at all. Okay, so this comes from the Rubin Report. This has 1.19 million subscribers. All right, and the title, it says YouTube or YT removes video of California doctors calling for an end to the lockdowns. And let's see what he has to say.
This opportunity when we're all confused, we're all locked at home, the only way we can communicate with each other is through their pipes, is through YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everything else. And they're actually finally saying to us, this is who we are. I mean, the Atlantic is ridiculous. I don't know anyone that reads it anymore. But the bigger issue here is the YouTube, Twitter, Facebook component of it, because we are now saying to them, or they're saying to us, we're going to tell you what's true. And if you dare go against what we say is true, not necessarily what is true, but what we say is true, then we're going to boot you. So, of course, the other part of this is that it will always only be one side that gets booted here. I mean,
okay, so
running around.
So that's just one other example, and I wanted to go through these so that you're not just hearing it from me, but you're hearing it and seeing it for yourselves. Let me see, and I copied quite a few links here just to share with you all so that you can, share these with people, review it for yourselves, dive deeper into what's going on. This is a lady that's talking about the face masks. It says the doctor reveals truth about masks, why healthcare workers are catching the C-VID-19. Now, what she's saying about the masks are, and I have one of them in my bag. Don't even ask why I have it. I have it. Somebody was looking out, they wanted me to have it, but those are really not effective. What she's basically saying in this video is that the N95s are more efficient, and that's why you have healthcare workers wearing those, because the way that they're made, the apparatus that fits around your nose and your mouth constricts more particles from coming in. So these thin paper masks that we're wearing that I said a couple of videos ago are really not doing the job that one of these N95s would do, that protects the doctors and the nurses. So basically, this is the name of the video, if you can see that. I don't know if it's focusing, but I'll say it again. It's Doctor Reveals Truth About Masks, Why Healthcare Workers Are Catching the CV-19. Okay, and I'm going to skip past some of this and see.
Than the casual grocery store visitor who might have wiped an apple and caught a little bit of virus off that apple because 2 days ago someone coughed on it. It's a totally different ball of wax. And so the amount of virus that I'm getting as a healthcare worker is therefore going to put me at much higher risk.
So clearly we need to reduce the exposure, the number of exposures that healthcare providers have to the virus. And that's where PPE comes on board, personal protective equipment. That's everything from gloves, goggles, masks, gowns. It's what keeps us safe. There's been a lot of discussion about personal protective equipment in the media. And the big questions are, what kind of masks should we be wearing? And what do we do with these shortages that we're seeing? It's so heartbreaking to see healthcare providers that aren't properly equipped.
Okay, so they're getting into that, and I'll let you review that once if you feel the need to do so. Let's see here. There's 2 more links that I had, and I thought these were very interesting. Okay, this one is Dr. Daniel Erickson says the lockdowns have a minimal impact on containing the C-VID. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
Use a screening of cough, fever, shortness of breath, which is what we did. And right now, we've done just under 6,000 tests, and we're getting about a 7% positive infection rate for COVID for Kern County, which has just under 1 million people. Our study was initially not randomized, meaning we were selecting who we were going to test. And then after a few weeks of that, we had a lot of people coming in who were requesting the test for a variety of reasons. And we had employers who said, hey, I need my employees tested to come back to work. So we started really testing everyone who needed a test. And so our numbers really started to climb. Initially, it was 6.5%. Now it's 7%. And we realized that Kern County doesn't represent every county. Some people have been critical of that. I'm acutely aware of that. So I'm reporting my data and comparing it to, for instance, Stanford. Stanford just did they're doing antibody testing in Santa Clara County, and they're seeing between 2.5 and 4.16% positive rate, and which means that they have between 45 and 80,000 cases. Well, their health department reported 956. So this is 50 to 80 times the amount of positive cases in Santa Clara County. And in Kern County as well, the amount reported is fairly low, and we're saying we're getting about a 7% positive rate. So the numbers are likely much higher in those 2 counties than was anticipated by the numbers at Public Health.
Yeah. I'm sure you've seen some of the data that these antibody testing, antigen.
Okay, so again, they're playing around with the numbers. So you can always check these videos out when you have a chance on your own. And here's the last link, and let's see what this one is about. Okay, so this is a very interesting one. This is only 1 minute and 44 seconds. The doctor says he was removed for C-VID treatment pushback. And I'll let you listen to this one. This is only 1 minute and 44 seconds.
Overseeing the U.S. agency charged with developing vaccines and therapies says he was removed for pushing back on the Trump administration's promotion of an anti-malaria drug as a possible treatment of the coronavirus.
A drug called chloroquine.
Dr. Rick Bright said in a statement that he was replaced as director of the Biochemical Advanced Research and Development Authority